How does the air conditioner or refrigerant works? Do you know? Do you know what is vapor combustion cycle, which is the important fundamental in working of air conditioning and refrigerator? What are the refrigerant cycles? What is vapor combustion cycle? Let's look at it. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for your feedback, comments on my YouTube channel. Today is Wednesday. It's time for HVAC topics. Today's video is going to take care of HVAC. So, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. Let's look at what is the topic of today in this segment of HVAC. We're going to look at what is vapor compression cycle. Very, very fundamental, and we should know how it works before we know what is a refrigerator, what is air conditioning. Let's understand first, and this is a fundamental behind this entire cycle. You must be knowing solid once get heated up converts into a liquid, and when liquid gets heated up it's converted into vapor. And similarly, if you go to reverse, when vapor is cooled it gets converted into liquid, and when liquid gets cooled it gets converted into a solid. This is fundamental behind any refrigeration or air conditioning working, and this is how the vapor compression cycle is built up. So for the first process of getting conversion from solid to liquid to vapor with the heating is called evaporation, and when I go to reverse it is called condensation. Hope it is clear. So this is the heating and this is the cooling part. So you must be knowing, and this is taught in I think 3rd or 4th grade, seawater gets evaporated with the heat of sun. That evaporated water or vapor goes up and the clouds are formed. When it gets contact with the wind or the coldness, it starts condensation, and that condensation is in the form of rain which we get. So it gets evaporated and it comes down as the rain. I think this is a cycle which everybody is aware of. I do not talk much about it. Let us look at now the fundamentals. So as I said, liquid heated up can become, and then if you look at the reverse, if you look at the gases, when they cool they become liquid. So liquid to gaseous states or vapor state, and gas when they cool they become liquid. This is one important aspect which we must know before we continue. So this is evaporator, which you must be knowing in air conditioning systems. This is called condenser, which is also important element in the refrigerator or air conditioning. You must have seen, it's part of every household, the refrigerator, how it works. So there is an evaporator which is inside this, which cools the water or whatever subject or vegetable or whatever you put inside, and behind this you must have seen a hotter side, that is called condenser. So if you touch the behind part, you'll always find the hot, that is a condenser. So as I said, evaporator, that is a vapor state. It remains gas. When it gets cooled the gas becomes liquid, and the liquid gets transported to the evaporator. So I'm just talking about two elements over here, evaporator and the condenser. Let us go further and add a few more elements to complete the cycle. So this is an important aspect, how this transformation happens, and there is an element called refrigerant. So refrigerant, when it's cooled, it converts into liquid form, and when it is heated up because of the heat from the surrounding, it becomes a vapor form, and that's how the entire cycle works. Let's look at the same status again. Evaporator, then we have condenser, then we have the refrigerant, and there is one more element which comes into picture now, which is called compressor. Everyone is aware of it. And there is another element which is called expansion valve. So this is an expansion valve which completes the cycle. So what is the job of compressor over here? The compressor comes in to increase the pressure and the temperature of a refrigerant. So if suppose I just only had evaporator and condenser to cool or to have a condensation or to convert into a liquid form, I might need a very huge size of condenser. So what I do here, with the help of compressor, I raise the temperature and the pressure of the gas so that I go to that point when it gets cooled, then the liquid starts coming out of the condenser. So that liquid is all about refrigerant. Refrigerant passes through different stages from vapor to semi-liquid to liquid form. I hope you are getting the clarity. Why the compressor comes in? Because if you just pass the refrigeration from the evaporator to condenser, the size of evaporator and the condenser which will be huge to cool a small area. That's why the role of compressor comes into picture. So the role of compressor is to get low pressure gas or evaporated gas, low pressure gas from the evaporator and make it to the high pressure, high temperature. So that when it enters condenser, with the help of cooling around it, it gets converted into high pressure liquid. So just change of the state of the refrigerator. Now, how can we get that high pressure and reduce the pressure so that it enters into the evaporator with reduced pressure? And that's where the importance of expansion valve comes in. So what is the expansion valve? I think in our ACs which are there, they use a capillary. So there's a small tube through which the liquid is passed, and through that passage the pressure is dropped from X pressure to Y pressure. The pressure is reduced, and that low pressure liquid comes into the evaporator, which again the evaporation process happens, converts into the gaseous state, goes into the compressor again, and this is how the cycle completes. Hope you got the understanding of why these elements are required. So in nutshell, if you put the refrigerant state on a chart, and that is how the vapor compression cycle is described or explained, is all about P and H curve. So this is the P, this is the pressure, and this is the enthalpy, that is the heat content. So if you look at this state over here, this was the evaporator, which was also in the behind slide in the bottom, where we have, you can see the pressure is 1 over here, which is a low pressure, and the pressure goes up where the compression happens. What happens? The heat content goes up as well as the pressure goes up. So moment it comes in the condensation mode, when the outside of this refrigerant in the condenser, there is a cooling method, then you can see the same, the only change of states happen from the high pressure vapor to high pressure liquid. And this is where the expansion happens, where the high pressure liquid is then converted into low pressure liquid, which again goes into the evaporation, and then the process happens. So this is called a vapor compression cycle, used in many of our refrigerator, air conditioners and air conditioning systems. Hope there's a clarity on this. If you still have any doubts or questions or feedback, please put it into the comment box. So if you look at V, is the vapor, then it is liquid at high pressure, liquid at low pressure. So just to give a pictorial view of how the compressor looks, yes, this is a small compressor, the bigger compressor will look different, but this is how compressor looks, and this is how condenser looks. This is how the refrigerant enters into the condenser. This is how the refrigerant is out. This goes into an expansion valve. This is how it looks. There are various forms of expansion valves, and this is how the evaporator and the evaporator to compressor. Hope the full clarity of what I shown you earlier into pictorial graph, then a graph or a pH curve, and now with real pictures of these elements which I have just explained to you. Everything is connected with the copper pipes, and these are the copper pipes which are generally used to connect these elements. This is how finally the air conditioner works. You can see the heat from the room is taken, and that's how the evaporation happens. And when it gets evaporated, it becomes cool. The fan puts the air over top of it. That's how cool air or cold air comes in, right? It becomes compressed, go to the condenser. Again, you can see a heat is out over here given to the air. There are also forms of heat is given to the water. That is called water cooled system. We'll talk about it later. And this is how the role of expansion valve, which converts the high pressure liquid into low pressure liquid. Let's look at one more view. This is how the outdoor, which we call this condenser. Indoor is generally evaporator. This is the compressor, and this is the expansion valve. Hope this is very clear all about. This is the inside portion of your house. This is outside. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Please subscribe my YouTube channel. Please follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and ajajkazi.com. All the links are given in the description box. Thank you very much for your patient listening.